I appreciate this opportunity to come speak with students at Rock Canyon Elementary School during this Red Ribbon Week. My name is John Hedengren, and I'm a professor at Brigham Young University. I'm going to talk today about how an active lifestyle helps you avoid the dangers of drinking and drugs, instead replaces that with a natural high and of living and just enjoying life and making your life so full with friends and activities and feeling great about yourself. Now, as I scan here in Provo, Utah, you may look out and see your home. And I'll scan just all sides of Rock Canyon Elementary here, home of the Roadrunners. And you're going to look out and see where you walk to school. You might see places where you interact with friends, and you're making decisions at this age about some of the things regarding what kind of person you're going to be, what kind of friends you're going to have, and also importantly, whether you're going to choose to try drugs or smoke or drink. This week is devoted for uniting together for a drug-free land. But I'm going to tell you about another place. A place that back in the 1980s, they had some of the youth that had some of the highest rates of smoking and drinking and drug use. And this was in Iceland. And you may think about Iceland as a place of volcanoes and just fantastic scenery with hot springs and other things. They had a big problem back in the 1980s, and if you just come in here to some of the street view, you'll see some of these areas that look just like our neighborhood, but they had a big problem. 25% of the youth were smoking every day, and 40% had been drinking in the last month. They are now among some of the most healthy youth with lowest rates of smoking and drinking. I'll talk about Iceland's experience with how they had this dramatic turnaround. I'll read some of this article about these youth and their experience. Emma Young, the author, related her experience. It's a little before 3 p.m. on a Sunday, Friday afternoon, and Lagerdur Park near central Reykjavik looks practically deserted. It's an occasional adult with a stroller, but the park's surrounded by apartment blocks and houses and schools out. So, where are all the kids? Emma was walking with Gunnberg Johnson, a local psychologist, and Harvey Milkman, an American psychology professor who teaches part of the year at Reykjavik University. 20 years ago, says Gunnberg, Icelandic teens were among the heaviest drinking youth in Europe. You couldn't walk the downtown streets in Reykjavik on a Friday night because it felt unsafe. There were hordes of teenagers getting in-your-face drunk. As they continued walking, they approached a large building. And here we have the indoor skating, says Gunnberg. A couple of minutes ago, we passed 2 halls dedicated to badminton and ping pong. Here in the park, there's also an athletics track, a geothermally heated swimming pool, and at last, some visible kids excitingly playing football, which is probably soccer, on an artificial pitch. Young people aren't hanging out in the park right now, Gunnberg explains, because they're in after-school classes in these facilities, or in clubs for music, dance, or art, or they might be on outings with their parents. Today, Iceland tops the European table for the cleanest living teens. The percentage of 15 and 16-year-olds who have been drunk in the previous month plummeted from 42% in 1998 to 5% in 2016. The percentage who have ever used cannabis is down from 17% to 7%. Those smoking cigarettes every day fell from 23% to just 3%. So what changed? What changed about their approach and the youth? The way this country has achieved this turnaround has both radical and evidence-based, but has not relied a lot on what might be termed enforced common sense. This is the most remarkable, intense, and profound study of stress in the lives of teenagers that I've ever seen, says Milkman. I'm just so impressed by how well it is working. If it was adopted in other countries, Milkman argues the Icelandic model could benefit the general psychological and physical well-being of millions of kids, not to mention the coffers of healthcare agencies and broader society. It's to identify what were the factors that would provide strong protection for these youth. They found a few factors emerge as strongly protective. First, participation in organized activities, especially sport, 3 or 4 times a week. Number 2, the total time spent with parents during the week. 3, feeling cared about at school. And 4, not being outdoors in the late evenings. They did something dramatic for that country. They first of all set a curfew of 10 p.m. for teens. They also made sports free for all youth in the country. And then also encouraged parents to spend more time with their children and outlawed advertising of tobacco or alcohol to teens. Let me tell you a little bit about my experience, especially when I went from 6th grade to 7th grade and entered middle school. I wasn't quite sure who my friends were, and I had 2 friends, one that was trying to get me into a crowd that used tobacco and drugs, and another one that noticed when I wasn't there during lunch and came down to the area where some of those other youth were inviting me in, helping me be a friend. And he said, "Look, John, you don't belong here." And he took me and brought me back to his friends and helped me feel welcome and wanted. Now, these years were very important for me. I was trying to figure out who my friends were, and I eventually got into running. Somebody encouraged me to try out for cross country. And I came out for track and cross country and made friends and started doing well. Throughout high school, I continued to improve. I started setting local school records, competing nationally, and eventually got to the point where I had to make a choice about competing in college. And one of the issues with recruiting is that you get to visit a lot of different university campuses. And I remember one visit in particular. I went there, and again, they were trying to help me fit in to be part of the group. And so they said, "Hey, John, today and this night, we're going to bring you to a party." And I asked, "Hey, is there going to be alcohol there at that party?" And they said, "Of course there's going to be alcohol at the party." So I told them, "Look, I'd rather not go to the party." And they looked at me like I was a little bit strange. And I had some standards and I wanted to uphold those. And so eventually I looked at all these different universities and chose BYU. And I ran at BYU in cross country and track. I eventually getting All-American in cross country, and then in 2015 inducted into the BYU Hall of Fame. It was a wonderful moment looking back at that and thinking at that critical decision point early on when I was in 7th grade, and that friend that came and helped me be part of a sport, helped me be part of his friends, and really got me pointed in a different direction. And also looking back at even later having made that decision about whether I was going to be in situations where there was drinking or other things going on, I just decided I wanted to be in a situation, in an environment where it was clean and there are friends that also had those standards. One of the things I love doing is coaching, including my own children, but also others, to share that love of physical activity and just a love of getting out there and pushing yourself to the next level. I've enjoyed running with these athletes. This is my daughter Jane, as she's training for the cross-country nationals this year. She was one of our first Roadrunners with a group of her friends. We met just out here behind Rock Canyon Elementary, a few years ago, and she has developed into a fantastic runner now, competing at a national level. This is her last workout before a regional championship and then on to the national championship. And one of the things that we noticed just starting out, we had to start off slow. Okay, you can see her running pretty fast here, but we had to start off slow and build up over time. And everybody has that potential to improve. Jane has done extremely well at the state and national level. I love starting from these young athletes. This is our middle school team or our elementary team, and many of them go to Rock Canyon Elementary or Centennial Middle School. Now, I want to just relate an experience of some of these athletes. Each one of them starts with a lot of enthusiasm and just energy to connect with friends and be part of the team. We love that they just want to get involved. There's many students that just start at Rock Canyon Elementary, the home of the Roadrunners. We take them out the first day and meet at the pavilion right next to the playground. And the very first thing we do is have them run a half mile. Sometimes that's all they can do the very first day. But they'll run on the outside of these trees around the park. That's a half mile. And maybe the next day they can do just a little bit more. And they gradually build up to the point where they're no longer sore, they're feeling good, they're feeling confident. And after the warm-up, we do stretches. So stretches are very important so that you don't injure muscles, and you warm up in a way that helps you be able to understand and gain some of that flexibility within your body so that you don't feel tight when you run. So these athletes, they have team captains that lead them through that workout and show them exactly what they need to do at every step of the way. We also go for a run and then come back and do these core workouts. We also have a lot of fun as well. If we don't drink the water, they get to get splashed by the water. We also have these medallions or awards for athletes that have certain achievements or team captain awards. This is one if you run up to the Green Gate up Rock Canyon. We also have these uniforms that we give to each of the runners just to participate and help them feel part of the team. So we also do races as well, which is a lot of fun because they put in so much effort throughout the whole season. And this is really just a celebration of how far they've come, and they get to test themselves not only against others, but more importantly, against themselves and try to beat their own times and get just a little bit faster each time. So I love working with these athletes and just helping them uncover their potential and what they can do. This is the start of the USATF race this past Saturday up in Taylorsville. And you can see, one of the athletes is going to go out extremely fast. He didn't end up winning the race. There's other athletes that pace themselves. I think that's so important about athletics. I want to tell a story, just to relate this experience about working with Charlie. We love working with the Kings. We have Clara, Helen, and Charlie there.
Got Wolverine here.
Charlie, he participated in this fun run that we had on Halloween. You can see him dressed up as Wolverine, looking pretty good. We have others who are dressed up in costumes as well.
Awesome.
And just had a fun time running this 1 mile. Here's a penguin and others. So just a lot of fun running with these kids. Now, I want to tell you, when we're starting off here, here's Charlie, who's going to start off this 1 mile run. He ran, right around 6-minute mile for this 1 mile run, but he didn't start that way. It's built up over time, over many, many months of running and working. And you can see as we start out here, one of the important things to realize is that everybody is at a different place with their physical activity. We've got the leaders up here who are pushing the pace, and we have some that are just a little bit younger, that are a little bit further behind, but you can see all of them are trying to do their best. They're trying to push themselves, and you get a certain feeling when you do these runs. It's called a natural high. After you finish something like this, you felt like you've done something important, that you've pushed yourself, that you've stretched your limits, that you've been able to do something more today than you were able to do in the past. I love the enthusiasm of Charlie. Charlie has been training with us for about a year and a half or so, just as we've been working toward significant important meets. One of the things that he did last year is he went all the way to North Carolina and competed in the national championship. And both Charlie and Clara were All-Americans, so they're some of the top finishers of the entire United States for youth runners. So they did fantastic. I want to tell another one about another runner, Julia. She has a unique challenge. She was born with no ability to produce insulin, so she has type 1 diabetes and has to regulate her blood sugar. One of the things we do as a team is every time we run a mile, we earn a bead, and we make these necklaces to help us keep track of these miles. One of the reasons why we're doing that is we're trying to help Julia earn money for a competition and to earn money for diabetes research. Now I want to just zoom in here. I've shown perspective. There is a red blood cell that transports the oxygen from our lungs to our muscles, and there's a human. Now I want to ask you, how far do you think you can run or walk over your whole lifetime? I'm going to zoom out a little further. There you can see Central Park. You can see Mount Everest. You can see the smallest black hole. There's a marathon that you just saw. There's the Grand Canyon. There's Ceres and Pluto and Europa and the moon. And it's further than that. There's the United States. There's Neptune and Jupiter. So there is the steps in the lifetime. That's how far you will walk or run throughout your whole life. It's basically like going across Jupiter. Now as I zoom back in, just think about your potential. Okay, climbing Mount Everest is difficult. Just sprinting across a football field is difficult. But being able to go all the way across Jupiter, that's just amazing what we are capable of. One of the things we do each year is have this downhill mile. We get together, and this is going to be on just tomorrow. After I present this, we're going to get together for a downhill mile, and this one goes, it's all downhill. It's just a fun race, fun to be out with friends. And then after that, we go and we watch the NCAA championships for the collegiate runners and see them compete. This year, the Brigham Young University team is highly ranked. We're excited to see how they're going to do. But this is from last year. There you can see Charlie, again, one of our top runners, especially from the elementary program. And so just a lot of fun to come out. I invite you to come out, be part of practices, be part of these fun runs, be part of the team. And really, and the focus here is really, how can you have an active lifestyle that encourages you to be drug-free and alcohol-free? And it's so important to maintain your health. This is the NCAA championship from last year, where Connor Mance was contending for the win. And the team was cheering and really encouraging on there from the watch party. You can see him. It's going to, at a certain point, one of the runners started pulling away and started putting some distance on Connor. Now, one of the things I love about running is just the drive and the fierce competitiveness to try to catch each other and see how long you can hold on. And at a certain point, Connor threw in just one more surge, and broke the other runner, made him give up. You can see how quickly he slowed down there. after he threw in that surge. And so he charged ahead toward the finish. We were jumping and screaming and just so excited that one of these local runners was there doing so well in the national championship. One of the things that's interesting about the BYU men's team this year is that within a 30-mile radius of campus is where all 7 runners originated from. So just right here in this neighborhood, maybe has gone to some of the schools you guys will go to as well. And all the talent is just right here. So there's something really special with running happening here in Utah County. While most of us won't be like Connor Mance, we can start somewhere and encourage you to have this active lifestyle, much like those youth in Iceland who chose to be participating in sports, be active, be moving, and you get this natural high that feels so good, and it replaces these other things like drugs, alcohol, and these other activities that are not good for you. So just appreciate this opportunity to come and talk with students today. This group is amazing. You look at Rock Canyon Elementary and just all the students that are out here on a typical day when the playground is full, kids running around, being active, learning at school, being supportive of one another. It's all these ingredients that help support this culture of supporting each other and this drug abuse resistance and leading this healthy, active lifestyle.